Hello and welcome back, beautiful soul, to another episode of Permission to Follow Your Inner GPS, your inner guided purpose soul path. We all have one, and how to tap into it and really follow it and get rid of all the noise. That's the exciting, challenging part. And that's what we're here to do today. And another beautiful soul. And yes, I say it all the time, because if I don't resonate and they don't resonate with us, it can't happen the best for you. So without further ado, Suzy Prudden was featured on Oprah and homeless 8 months later. Can you believe it? She serves entrepreneurs by publishing and marketing their itty-bitty books. Suzy's also a New York Times best-selling author, and it is our privilege to have such an amazing lady with us today. Hello, welcome, and tell us a little bit about you, beautiful.
Thank you, and I'm very, very blessed to be on your show and talking to all of your people. So it sounds funny that I was on Oprah and 8 months later, homeless. I've had an extraordinary career, and I started my first career in New York City in 1965 when I was 22, and it grew into, I had a fitness school, and it grew into a very large fitness school. When I started in 1965, there was only one other fitness program in New York City.
Wow.
Now there's probably 5 on every block. But I started in 65, and my specialty was toddlers. And because I had a toddler, and I taught toddlers, and I became very well known in New York. And I had a summer camp in East Hampton, and I had a huge career from 65 to 83. I had television, I had radio, I had 9 books, one of them a bestseller. And please ignore the phone, because I don't know how to turn that particular phone off, and it will stop ringing in a moment. I just hang up on them.
That works.
Well, it stopped the ringing.
It did.
They may call back again, and they may not. But this is more important. And I really don't know how to turn that particular phone off.
I believe you. There are some gidgy-gadgies that's like, uh-oh.
Just don't know how to do it. And I have 3 different phones, and sometimes they're all ringing. But what happened in my time in New York, when I was a fitness expert, and my mother is Bonnie Prudden, and she was the nation's foremost fitness authority. My mother started the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports under Eisenhower. And so when I married the boy, my mother told me I couldn't date. And the only thing to do then, if you're not allowed to date the guy, is marry him. He went back to school, and I started a business. And I became very famous. And we had a house in East Hampton, we had the condo in New York, we had the kid in private school, we had everything. And I was actually miserable. I had a television career, toured the country 18 times with my various books, did, what do you call it? I can't remember what you call it, when you promote people's stuff around the country.
Affiliate?
Tours. No. When I would promote a company like DuPont, I would go on television. I promoted Clairol at one time, and they had a shampoo and a conditioner, and I would say I would do exercises with the 2 bottles. I don't know why I'm bringing this up. I've never talked about this on radio or a podcast before, but it was so funny. So I would say to the camera, get your hair into condition and your body into condition too. I mean, that was, or your body into condition, your hair into condition too. That was my line. It's so funny. I haven't thought about that in probably 30 years. And then I sold the business, and I went on my Eat, Pray, Love adventure. I just didn't eat very much. And I had a wonderful time, and I spent all my money. And so then I had to go and make up some new ideas. I also divorced my husband. And so I discovered the mind, and I started doing body-mind work. And just like people didn't understand teaching toddlers in the 60s, people didn't understand the body-mind connection in the 80s.
No.
And then I wrote a book with Louise Hay. She published my book, Meta Fitness, Your Thoughts Taking Shape, which is the book that got me on the Oprah show. And literally 8 months later, I was homeless because I didn't know how to handle what I was living in. And I didn't know how to, I had no team. It was just me. And it was a blessing. It was a true blessing. And I knew it at the time. And I did say, thank you, God, for giving me this experience because it will change my life. And I meant it. And me being homeless, I never slept in my car. And because I was also a famous person, because I had just come off the road publicizing in the book, I was asked to speak everywhere. So the first night out of my house, I was at the La Jolla Hyatt because I was speaking there. And 2 days later, I was at Rancho La Puerta for a week because I was speaking there. And then 2 weeks later, I was in Maui because I was speaking there. And this is how the 10 months went. There were times when I'd be on a friend's couch, but it really wasn't, I didn't have to sleep in my car, let's put it that way. And then I slowly rebuilt myself, and I rebuilt myself differently. And I really do believe I was given the opportunity to have that experience to get rid of some of the things that were in my way and
Yes.
keeping me from my soul's purpose.
I understand that. There are times when we're going along and we're kind of swept up in something, and I think, well, this isn't exactly the way I was guided to do it, but this is the way it's going, so I guess I'm going to follow it. And they're going to go, no.
Don't think so. No, don't
and
think so.
and take away what needs to be taken away so you can go, okay, I need to reboot.
Right, which is exactly what I did. And I ended up in Del Mar for, I think, 10 months. I rented a room in someone's house. And another friend of mine had another room, and we were creating programs, empowerment programs. And then I received an inheritance and was able to move back to Los Angeles. And my sister also received the inheritance, and she moved out here from New York, and we'd always written books together. We lived together for 7 years here in LA, did not write one book together, whereas we had written 5 books together while she was in New York and I was in California working on the California.
Interesting how the dynamics changed dramatically.
What I told her one day, I said, why don't I call you? You're in your bedroom and I'm in my office. Why don't I call you and we'll work on the phone? Because it's obvious we're not going to be working together just face to face. It was, and then that's when we wrote Change Your Mind, Change Your Body. No, that was before that. There's so many things that I've done. And then I became a hypnotherapist, and I ran a weight loss center in Beverly Hills. I had 4 offices, and in 2008, the world changed. And thank God I couldn't pay my franchise fee, and they took it away from me. And I do say thank God, because it led me in another direction where I should have been. Not should have been before, but should have been going forward. And I started working with entrepreneurs and doing coaching and hypnotherapy, because when you're working with a coach and a coach says you need to do such and such, and you keep not doing it, then as a hypnotherapist, I could just say, do it. And they'd do it. And they'd be okay with it. I mean, I would say it in a way that was, it's now okay to like picking up the phone and making the calls you have to make. And people were stunned. They said, I don't believe this. I actually enjoy talking on the phone now. And I didn't before. I said, yes. I mean, that's and teaching them really seriously how to follow up and follow through, because entrepreneurs need to do that in order to stay in business. Yes. And the itty bitty publishing came as it's a God gift. It's a true God gift, because I was getting bored. This is 2014. I was getting bored with what I was doing. And I talked to God and I said, look, could you give me something bigger? Something where I reach more people and I make a bigger difference. And my sister was visiting me over the holidays. She lives about an hour and a half north of where I live. And I had asked her to redo the cover of a book we had written in 2006. It was called Suzy. My name's been on everything since 1965. It was called Suzy Prudden's Itty Bitty Weight Loss book because I was in the weight loss industry. And a coach, James Malinchek of mine, said, write a small book. I'd always written big books. And so we wrote this itty bitty book, and I asked her to change the cover. We bought the obligatory 2,000 copies. I think we have 1,800 left. It didn't sell. We didn't know what we were doing. I asked her to change the cover and make it smaller, which she did. And when she showed me the book, my name was not on the top anymore. It was Your Amazing Itty Bitty Weight Loss Book. And my ego had a moment.
Oh, yes.
Yes, but it was only a moment. I mean, after you go through being homeless after Oprah, your ego definitely, that's an ego death.
Yes.
And it's like smush. But I talk about shame. I mean, that was really shaming. I was rich and I was famous, and now I was homeless and broke.
And how did you did share some of the transition with that, because you were at this hotel and that hotel because you were speaking, but what did you need to go through up here and in your heart, beautiful, to help you really reassess and focus on what was in front of you and what was being shown to you?
All I could focus on was staying alive.
Okay.
And all the shame, the guilt, the humility, I had to push that aside. I could not deal with it at that time. The only thing I could deal with was, how do I make money? How do I get back on my feet? How do I get stable? That's all I could focus on. You know, I was absolutely in crisis mode for like 10 months. And when you're in crisis mode for 10 months, you don't have time to focus on anything else.
No, you don't.
And so it wasn't until I was in crisis mode for even when we got back here, my sister and I moved to LA, I still had to keep finding a way to make money, to survive. And people would say, well, why don't you go back into fitness? But I couldn't, the door was closed.
Right.
And I mean, I made a lot of money in the fitness industry. And I did television, and I did books. I mean, I was really well known in that industry. If you Google me, you'll see it all. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I had to make up something else, which is why I started doing body-mind stuff. And Louise Hay was a friend of mine, and we were exercising one day, because I did still exercise. And we were just hanging out in my living room, exercising. We did it twice a week. And her hip bothered her. And I said, well, Louise, you're the expert on what that means. What does that mean? And she thought about it, and she said, oh, it means this. I said, oh, okay. And then I got a good idea. I said, why don't we do a video? I'll do the exercises and you do the affirmations. So we created the Meta Fitness video, exercises and affirmations. And then we did the book, and that's when I got on Oprah, and then my world fell in. And so in getting back to myself, a friend of mine, I then became a hypnotherapist, and I was doing hypnosis. But you don't make a lot of money as a beginner hypnotherapist. And I needed to make more money than I was making. And a friend of mine said, I'm taking a course in Virginia Beach. It's called Positive Changes. And it's $5,000, and we can open up a Positive Changes Hypnosis Center in Los Angeles. Would you like to come and split it with me? And I said, well, I don't have the money to split it with you right now, but if you wouldn't mind taking payments, I will, because she had the cash. I'd be happy to. And I had miles and I had points, so I didn't have to pay for hotel or flights. We went, and we opened up a center in Beverly Hills. It's just so funny. They were telling us at this event to get this, 4,000 square feet and have 6 different rooms for hypnosis and a classroom. And so you could do video and you could do audio, and then you could do the hypnosis. And so Diana and I had one tiny room in a therapist's office suite. So I would see a client. She would be sitting in the waiting room. I'd be sitting in the waiting room. And then both of us would be in the waiting room when they would watch the video or listen to the processes that they had to listen to. But we began building our business that way. And I remember when the owners of Positive Changes came out, they were doing a tour of all the offices. And I mean, I visited some of the offices. They were huge. And then they came to our office. Crampton, that's his little office. And I was thinking, they don't think we're going to stay in business. I know they don't think we're going to stay in business. As it turned out, I bought Diana out the following year. She moved up to Northern California and had a center there. And I was one of the last to leave in 2008 out of 120. Most of them were gone by 2006, and I was still in business. But then I had 4 offices, and I had created a different system within their system. But when I had to close my office, I don't usually stop, obviously. So I thought, okay, so what am I going to do? I got an office in El Segundo, which is a tiny town just south of the airport. It's called the Silver Necklace because people from the South Bay will not drive above the airport to get to Beverly Hills or West LA. They just won't. El Segundo is just below the airport. They will go there, and people from above the airport will go there. And the first week I opened in El Segundo, I did 2 half days. I made $32,000. And I thought,
Nice.
this is obviously the place to be.
Yes.
So, and my office in Beverly Hills never made that much money. And it was a big office. And so I moved into a tiny office in El Segundo, and I started working with entrepreneurs. And I did that until 2014 when I really got bored. And as I said, the universe really supports you. And they stopped sending me clients. So I was thinking, so what am I going to do now? My sister's visiting me, and I'm looking at this book. And it doesn't have my name on the top. Your Amazing Itty Bitty Weight Loss Book. And I'm looking at this book, and I said, you sure you don't want my name on it? She said, I don't care. I said, well, actually, that's $1 million business, and we don't have to write the books. 4 days later, we were in business. 2 weeks later, we had our first author. 6 weeks later, we had our first published book. And now we have about 75 books up online that's on our website, ittybittypublishing.com. That's ITTYBITTY Publishing. It's not Itsy Bitsy, that's the spider. And it's not Itty Bitty Books, that's a company in the UK. It's Itty Bitty Publishing. And we have 50 bestsellers. We did our 50th campaign last week. We have 50 Amazon bestsellers. And Itty Bitty Publishing is a company that helps experts get their expertise out in a manner that doesn't overwhelm the reader. We're the new dummies. Dummies are 350 pages. You have to read with a yellow highlighter. Mm-hmm. Itty Bitty Books are the yellow highlights. So our books, it's a unique concept, and every book looks like every other book. And we send our authors a how to write an itty bitty book. We send them an itty bitty book, and we send them a template, so all they do is fill it in. And we're very strict about it because it's a business builder. A lot of people say your book is your business card. I say your book is your business builder.
Yes.
And from your book, you can create podcasts, you can create webinars, you can create seminars, and you can build your business. If you have an expertise, you need a book. If you want to write a long book, we have another company called Legacy Press. You can write a long book. But if every one of my authors at some point asks me it's a funny question. And I'm very honest with the answer. They say, how long will it take me to earn the money back that I paid to have you publish my book? And I said, you won't. I said, by selling books. You won't.
Right. That's right.
And they say, yes, but. I said, those days are over.
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of money selling books in the 70s and 80s and the 60s, a lot of money. But it doesn't happen now. And so people pay me $5,000. I publish the book. We teach them marketing. We teach them publicity. We teach them, how to use their book as a business builder, how to do podcasts from your book, how to do webinars from your book, how to do certification programs from your book. I'm doing a course next year on certifying people to certify their program, teaching them how to create a certification program so that they can teach people to teach what they teach and make money from it so that they're not the only ones doing it. It's like Pilates.
Yes.
There was one Pilates,
Mm-hmm.
and now there's certified Pilates instructors all over the world.
True. So
And
how
so
did you got the idea, you asked the universe, you asked God, they gave you the idea, and how did you, yes, you were in business in 4 days, but how did you translate that? How did you actually get it up off the ground in such a way that you are now successful?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, let me ask it to you this way, beautiful. What is
I'm
sharing
a
with our
networker.
viewers? Go ahead.
I'm a networker. I believe in body to body, belly to belly networking.
Okay.
I show up at conferences and I am not shy.
That's
And
true.
yeah, I mean, you saw me at New
The
Media,
New Media Summit, yes.
right? And do you remember the first day when I got up to the mic and I said, you guys scare me, and I've done this and this and this and this. Okay, so what I did was, I know that if I can get to a mic, I can get people interested in what I do.
Okay.
And so that's what I did at New Media Summit.
So
And
is that the challenge that you work through, is finding a way for you to be in touch with people face to face, or belly to belly, as you call it, body to body?
body to body, I will, how do I say this? I look for opportunities where I can meet people to tell them what I do. And
Okay.
I go to a lot of conferences. And so an example would be, I belong to different marketing groups or networking groups or programs. And so when people would share what they do, I would simply share, my name is Suzy Prudden, and I am the owner and publisher of Itty Bitty Publishing. We are the new dummies. The difference between dummies and itty bitty, dummies are 350 pages that you have to read with a yellow highlighter. Itty bitty books are yellow highlights. If you are an expert and you would like to publish a small book and use it to build your business and become an Amazon bestseller and automatically increase your authority and expertise because you have a book, give me your card. And people would. And then I would call them up and I would say, tell me about you. And they would. I said, what do you want to write about? And they would tell me. And I said, okay. So how do you, and then the marijuana book, which is one of my favorite stories. I met at a group called CEO Space, where I was on faculty and also a member. And on Sunday, they do a process where you exchange cards and people say, well, what do you need? And I say, I need authors. And this one person handed me a card and said, I'd like to write a book. I said, great, I'll call you. I called her up. I had no idea who she was. She knew me because she'd heard me speak at various places. And I said, well, who are you? She said, well, I'm a full-blooded gypsy. And I go, great. She said, I'm a disabled vet. I said, great. And I'm a spiritual teacher. I said, great. She said, and I'm a marijuana dispenser. I said, great. What do you want to write about? This long pause. She said, spiritual coaching. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. But I said, what's the low-hanging fruit? Which is what I ask a lot of my authors, because they all have a lot of ideas. What's the low-hanging fruit? And she said, I don't know. I said, it's pot. I know. Why don't you write the book, Your Amazing Marijuana Book, 15 Ways, because everything is 15 ways to use cannabis for healing. She said, how did you do that? I said, that's what I do. And then you'll write the book, 15 Ways to Talk to Your Kids About Cannabis. And then you'll write the book, 15 Ways to Use Edibles Correctly. And then you'll create a certification program and teach other people how to teach people to use cannabis correctly. And she said, I want to do Mary Jane parties. I said, okay, so all of your certified cannabis coaches can run Mary Jane parties. That's selling, it's like Tupperware parties, only selling cannabis paraphernalia. It's like I have a cream here It's for aches and pains, and it's made out of cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wonderful. It's actually healed one of my assistants' arthritis. So that's what she does, and she wrote the book, and she did the certification program, and I'm a certified cannabis coach. I have no idea what that means. I learned a lot, though. I learned about the history of cannabis, and it's fascinating. And she called me up one day crying, and she said, "Suzy, these are happy tears." I said, "What happened?" She said, "I just came from a hemp fest. 62 people signed up for my cannabis coaching course, and I made $92,000. And that's what I want to help my authors do." I mean, she now has a program where she can teach something that she knows, she loves, she believes in, to people who can then go ahead and teach it. And it's like a safety mechanism, because cannabis today is very different than it was in the 60s.
Yes.
It's very different. I have had 2 moments where I've had 2 hits, that's like little tiny hits from current cannabis. I was knocked flat. Whereas in the 60s and 70s, you could do a whole joint and still, walk around and be
Functional to a point.
functional. I mean, not a good idea to drive, but then
No.
again. But today it's different, and you have to be really, really careful. You have to
Yes.
know what you're doing, and so her book is literally an opportunity for people to look at something that's potentially dangerous and make it not so. So I have 2 books on cannabis, one on CBD oil and the benefits of CBD oil, and one on the healing properties of cannabis. So it's a very important subject.
It is.
And it has to be taken very, you have to be smart about it.
Just like a lot of things, but I totally agree with you with the CBD and the cannabis and the hemp and all. It really does need to be treated with respect.
Yes.
And the word that I'm being given is authority, not authority over, but using it with respective authority, because there are different ways to use it.
Yep.
My dad has been having some chronic pain for his back. So my mom asked me to go, and I'm going, okay, so I need to find a place that sells the CBD oil in a cream. And I went into a smoke shop, and I was like, okay, they don't smoke in here. I thought that's what it was this. Anyway, so we got Daddy the cream, and hopefully it's helping him. I haven't had a report, but there's in the CBD products, there's no hallucinogens. All the THC, if that's correct, has been taken out, but we're getting off topic. But
I know.
It's amazing how what you do, it's not amazing in the sense of, oh my goodness, it works, but how amazing what you do helps to bring out the expertise that someone has that they may not know they actually have. All of that, you help them turn it into a book, and then it launches the rest of their mission or their vision.
Yep.
And that's amazing.
Exciting. It's very, very exciting. We have one author who's a hypnotherapist, and she spends every Friday at a homeless shelter working with the women there to help change their minds, to help them get back into the mindset that will help them get out of the shelter. And
that's amazing, because
woman's shelter. And she was doing it as a give back. So she wrote a book with us on self-hypnosis, and because of that book, got a $25,000 grant. So now she's been paid for the work that she was doing for nothing. She'll keep doing the work, period. But she got a $25,000 grant. And then we have one of our authors who is in sales. He grew his business from $100,000 to $750,000 in 3 years. He's one of our first authors. And he uses his book. He's on his 4th book with us right now. He uses his book as a marketing tool. So it's very, very important to know that your expertise is marketable. You just have to learn how to do it, and that's what we do. Every book is the same. It's 15 something, 15 steps, 15 things you need to know. And people say, why 15? And because that's what the first itty bitty book was. That's
It's
it.
a formula and it's working, so why fix it?
Yeah. Then we have experts books where we have 15 experts, each doing 2 pages on a topic. So we have a business book with 15 experts, a health and wellness book with 15 experts, and they just have 2 pages. Then we have a quote book if you just want to write a quote and get published. And then they have my most famous thing, which we're working on right now, is the word book, which is the funniest thing I've ever done. I sell words. Buy a word for $150. You put your word in, your definition, your picture, and your bio, and your contact information. We have 300 words in this book. And when it comes out, everybody will get 2 copies, and we've got 300 people marketing the itty bitty book of words. We're going to do an Amazon bestseller campaign for it. So for a word, you can have an Amazon bestseller. You have to understand something about Amazon and bestseller. It's a marketing tool.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, it's a marketing tool. People have a lot of, oh, it's only Amazon. It's a brilliant marketing tool.
It's a worldwide marketing tool.
Right.
Absolutely. And
Right.
with that, beautiful lady, please tell our viewers, thank you so much, because you shared things that you hadn't thought of for 30 years. You shared how you were in a specific mode, and I'm not repeating the word on purpose, for 10 months, and
it was
you yourself. It was a process, and sometimes you're in the process for a long time. Sometimes people think it's just a short amount of time, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So with that
and
said,
it really depends on your outlook when you're in it.
yes.
And I could have been poor me, and I'd still be there. But I wasn't. I was, okay, so what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And that's it. That's it, what it is. So if anybody who is watching or listening is interested in the concept of an itty bitty book or a legacy press book, they can go to my website, www.itty publishing.com. And it has a sign-up sheet there where you can fill out something and I'll call you. Or you can call me directly at 310-640-8885. That's 310-640-8885. I do return calls.
She does return calls. And your social media, your Facebook or something?
Well, my Facebook is Suzy Prudden. We do have an Itty Bitty Publishing Facebook, but I'm not really active on that one. We have a private one that I'm more active on. I love the phone. I always tell people, I used to do a whole lecture on the phone. The money's in the phone. People don't talk on the phone anymore. But I say the money's in the phone. So pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone and call her.
Call me.
Call her. So that's ittybittypublishing.com. That's
right.
ITTY, B as in bodacious, ITTY, publishing.com. Thank you so very much. It has been a delight and definitely an interesting journey sharing this time with you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, beautiful lady. So, beautiful soul, if one of the things you want to do is to raise your vibe and change your current reality, we have a free PDF gift for you on angeldreamteam.com. Bye-bye for now and see you next week.